Hello and welcome to Newsnight. I am Ladi Akeredoluale. It's our pleasure to have you join us. Nigeria's democratic journey has largely been stagnant, but restructuring must involve existing structures such as the National Assembly for it to be viable. But Nigeria's current budgeting process cannot lead us to rapid development. These, amongst others, are the views of my guest, elder statesman, veteran journalist, and two-time governor of Ogun State, Chief Olusegun Osoba. Chief, thank you so much for your time. Welcome.
Well, I'm very grateful for your time.
I think it's appropriate to begin by asking, how do you assess our democratic or civilian journey so far? Some people will say it's not democracy, it's civilian rule. But for the purpose of this discussion, let's call it democracy. From 1999 to now, you participated in the previous ones. Is it significantly different this time, apart from the fact that it has lasted longer? Is it significantly different in terms of the mechanics, in terms of the actors' behavior, in terms of what you have seen? Is it?
I don't see any difference whatsoever. A lot of people may disagree with me. We talk of corruption. Even under the First Republic, there were a series of commission of inquiry. There were series of investigations, whether born out of political exigencies or not. There were many allegations of corruption leveled against ministers and our leaders, even in the First Republic. If you look back at all the newspapers and play back some of your archives clips, you will find that every administration has one scandal or the other to battle with. Secondly, agitation. In a democracy, there must be agitation. In a political setting, in a civilian government, whether you call it democracy, civilian government, it can't be all quiet. Even in the military, people still discuss and talk. Look at Britain today. Britain is on the verge of being torn apart now. I foresee a situation where Scotland will now ask for another referendum from the result of the elections. The Welsh people are also not too comfortable. And this is a country that calls itself United Kingdom. Where is the unity that they play so much to us? In the past centuries, the last election in Britain was acrimonious. So life itself is dynamic. I see no difference whatsoever.
Now, those, as you said, there are those who would say that, well, the fact that it has lasted longer than all our previous attempts to enthrone democracy may suggest that even if it is not that we are doing things too differently, some of the critical lessons of the past may have been learnt. The First Republic lasted only 6 years, 9 years. The Second Republic lasted just over 4 years. The third one, in which you were a sitting governor, lasted barely 2 years before it was removed by the late General Sani Abacha, and so on. So if you take it that way, 20 years is a lot more time than any of these other times. And that in terms of how we are progressing, if the word to use is progress, things are different. Is it a fair comment to say so?
I would say that in all honesty, the only gain that we have had is that we have had the handover of civilian to civilian. That is perhaps the only major success. As for the economic situation, we are still wobbling. I must admit that Nigeria, we are still yet to get it right. And there are many reasons why we have not been able to get it right. The way we budget is, to me, condemnable.
How so? Because we've just passed another budget now. It's just been signed.
Because, one, we talk of these constituency projects. What is the business of the federal government and the people in Abuja to want to sink borehole in my village? What is their business? He wants to build primary schools in my village. Education is local, it's cultural. I started my education with my local language. So when you now vote money at the center in Abuja on all these useless projects, it's a waste. Two, they beat their chest and say that federal government must do projects in their constituencies. I'm talking of National Assembly members.
Yes, democracy dividends.
They're getting it wrong. For the past 20 years, there's no single major road in Nigeria that is safe and motorable. All the major link roads that I will call the motorway or A-class. I will start with Abuja-Lokoja, death trap. Abuja-Kaduna, death trap. Lokoja down to the south, death trap. You come to the southwest, we have been on Ibadan, Oyo, Ogbomoso, Ilorin for over 20 years. Now, the express road, which is major and very vital to the entire country because of the ports, is unmotorable. It's not safe. You can spend 10 hours.
You're talking of the Apapa
Apapa is
on one side.
That one is unpardonable. Then Lagos, Ibadan, Benin, so vital. So when you now budget, you now put 1 billion by the federal government in every state. That is wasted 36 billion to do either minor road or do maintenance. For me, if I were the president, I'll close my eyes. My first year, I want to do Ibadan Benin Road. Pick a major road per zone. Or take 2 zones for the first year, another 2 zones for the second year, another 2 zones for the third year, another 2 zones for... By the time you do it, you will have done major roads in the country. And these roads link up all the so-called sectoral districts. But because we decide, look at South Road. They've been on it for about 30 years now. It's still not motorable from Warri to Port Harcourt. Very vital for the Niger Delta. So the reason why we are failing, and we will continue to fail, is the way we budget. We have not found it fit to close our eyes for the president to say, well, whether you like it or not, Ibadan, Lagos, Shagamu, Benin is vital to the entire country for the evacuation of goods from the ports. And I'm therefore going to do it, whether you people like it or not. It is for the benefit of the entire country. And then you take 1 or 2 roads in another 2 zones. That, to me, is the way to do budget. But the way we are doing it, we are just wasting money. That is why we are static.
I'm sure you've heard about the clamor for restructuring or true federalism, or it has various names, but basically reorganizing how the country is run. What's your own recommendation going forward?
Absolutely right. The way you have presented it, we will never survive if we continue relying on the current structure. When you building a house and you do what they call frame structure, you have to do solid columns right from foundation to hold the structure. That structure must balance in a way that anything happening to the building will spread around the whole thing. We don't have it. The way we are running a kind of unitary government is going to be the death knell of Nigeria. Nobody in his right senses will say that we don't need to rearrange. We overuse the structure. Yes, true federalism is what I call it. For example, what is the business of the federal government and National Assembly with local government? Granted, some governor bastardize, waste the money of the local government, but the answer to it is not to now turn local government to be under the control of the federal government. Like I said, primary education is the business of local government. In Northeast, in some part of Northeast, the Kanuris start educating their children in Kanuri. I know a friend who, highly educated, a diplomat, the only language in his home is Kanuri, and was serving in New York when I used to stay with him, because the first education is your language. I started under the moon, under the old people. Allah, Allah. So what is the business of federal government in getting involved with primary education? Secondly, you say you are doing federal character. Whether somebody is qualified or not, you just put him there. Thirdly, our education system, which is the foundation of everything, you now say somebody who will be adjudged a failure in a particular part of the country by the number of marks is scored. But because it's in another part of the country, a failure is given an automatic admission into the university. You're already creating second-rate citizen, second-rate standard in education. I'm giving all these examples, so many examples. Now, revenue. What is the business of the federal government of collecting value-added tax? I drink beer, I drink whiskey, I drink all kinds of alcohol. I take the risk of the effect on my health, and then you collect the money from me here, and some area that say, never touch anything alcoholic. The money made from alcohol is not dirty money. Then you spend it equally. That's not a federal system. Nigeria can never go on the way we are going. All those who think they have advantage, I appoint this, I grab this, I grab that, they are grabbing the death of a great nation, Nigeria, because we are not one.
But are we going to be able to do either of these choices that you mentioned if everybody is not at the table? Because what seems to be happening is that those of you, like you, and others like you, who, for example, you believed in this restructuring or rearrangement, let me use the phrase you preferred to use, are on one side. You attended for example, the 2014 National Conference. Now, there are all these others, predominantly from the other part of the country, from the northern part of the country, let me be more specific, who are saying they don't understand what you are talking about. Nobody has bothered to try to explain it to them. And yet you can't do it without them. Whatever it is that eventually is agreed cannot be done without them. Now, along those lines, are you aware of, or do you think that they ought to be carried along, explains to what this is about, and if indeed it is something to be done, how does this benefit them in the medium term, in the long term? I know you have a lot of friends in the north. You just spoke about someone who is Kanuri, who is from Borno. These are part of the people who are asking questions, saying, what is this about? Why do you want us to change, quote unquote, a winning formula?
We are pretenders. Don't say that they don't understand. Everybody is thinking of the current advantage to themselves. We will grab all major offices. I don't know how many people will benefit from people grabbing major offices. If grabbing major offices, which many parts of the country have been grabbing, what is the development they have in their areas? That's one. So they do understand. And I pity when I talk to some level-headed London friends, I say, you are making a mistake. The future is not in oil. Shell oil has taken over. And shell oil too will die. Solar power is the ultimate power. So when oil goes off, the mineral resources that are yet on tap are all in the north. Gold, so many mineral resources, which are still going to be very vital and useful. At that point, some of them will be begging to get out of the country. But because you see, we have minor advantage now. Secondly, when I say we are pretenders, take for example, the British, when they were living, they didn't count us. They just assess and say, we are these millions. And again, we are carrying on pretending. Announcing figures that are out of this world. In a current world where the satellite map of the whole world is in the air. The satellite map of every hut, every house. If you Google your house and you ask for details of your own house, Google will give you the picture of your house and your surrounding without even doing any counting. Google knows, the satellite knows the population of Nigeria. Why then are we pretending that we are so many millions? Many of these so-called millions are people coming, infiltrating us from the borders. So when I say we are pretending, that pretense is that we don't understand the meaning of having to have a true federal system which sustained Nigeria in the First Republic. Each region collected its own revenue and made certain percentage of contribution to the center. And so we know the great advantage of Canada today. The kind of federation in Canada is the kind that we should have in Nigeria. The kind of federation in Australia is the kind we should have in Nigeria. So if any educated northerner is telling you he doesn't understand, it's because for today, they're still getting certain advantages, which will not last. So, and then when we go to restructuring, as I've always been saying, people say we must go and have national conference. That is where I disagree with our leaders. And I have many reasons why I disagree with them.
Such as?
For example, the president in a democracy has no power whatsoever to convoke a sovereign national conference. He can convoke a national conference, which I've had so many. I've participated in so many.
Yes.
In 1988-89, I was in the one that drafted the constitution for the Babangida era. I was in 2014 national conference. Now, the conclusion from that conference, Jonathan said, we submitted that conference in 2014. It left in 2015. Not even one administrative action did he take. What stopped him then before leaving? The report of the National Conference with a letter sending it to the National Assembly. Leave it to National Assembly not to do anything. He didn't do anything. What I'm saying is this. You can have conferences and I know the headache we went through, and our big father will tell you to even beg Kogi and Kwara. Because you see, Kogi and Kwara, being part of the North, when they are giving scholarship, because of the high level of education interest in those areas, they get good advantage. getting them to even understand that they should, if those of them speaking Yoruba, to see our reason, it's a headache. Then lobbying the part of the middle belt was a big job. So I am for restructuring. But as long as we have a constitution, we can only restructure within the current constitution, as imperfect as it is, first. And then they will say, you are talking rot. We have to go through the National Assembly. When the Ohaneze president,
John
Modu, made brilliant speech when the South-South delegation, which included Clark, Bapaya, Edwin Clark, Modu, met with the 8th National Assembly. They found that there have been so many major amendments passed by that National Assembly. As long as we have the Constitution, we have to get National Assembly to start working on the amendment. We have, in each of our states, get the State Assembly to approve. So anything passed by the National Assembly, 2/3 of the state passing it. Even 8th Assembly went as far as passing a law that says once National Assembly amends the Constitution and 2/3 of the state support, and National Assembly comes back to now endorse that support, there will be no need for
presidential assets.
But we didn't go to lobby them, to support them. If we have had that inserted in our Constitution, Electoral Act, 2023 will be war, serious war, unless, and I'm happy on the 77th birthday, the president has promised that he wants to leave a legacy of a transparent election in 2023, unless the Electoral Act is amended for us to have electronic voting, which Kenya has used successfully, Ghana is using successfully. We again are going to be pretending to ourselves. So restructuring, I keep pleading. How many state assembly did we sponsor? How many Senate did we manage to get into place? How many House of Rep did we get into place? Did we campaign for them to say, this is the mandate, when you get there, go there and work for amendment to major constitutional provisions? Is it because the sovereign legislation is now vested in the National Assembly? To have a sovereign national conference, the National Assembly must agree to cede part of its power to that sovereign body. And that sovereign body will now agree, whatever is agreed there. But when we get there too, we have to be careful. We in Southwest, in the South, may agree on certain issues. We still have to go and lobby. Other parts of the country, even at a sovereign national conference, so we don't get our hands tied up. It does not follow that whatever we take from here as agenda, as our agenda, will be acceptable. We get there, you don't lobby the middle belt, you don't lobby the Northeast, the Kanuris and others, you don't lobby all the minorities in the North to see, reason with you, to agree with you. It's all going to be by lobby. So the other thing that can happen is when we carry too long, is my attitude of growing up in a country where I accept others. When I was growing up, the major tenants in my father's house in Oshubu were Hausas, and they taught me Hausa.
Yes.
Or they were teaching me how to count. Now, when I got to secondary school, many of my best friends were Igbos. Clement Ugoji, Eddie in West Apple, in Methodist Boys High School. These are my best friends. I didn't know the difference between what is it. But now, what I can tolerate, my children will never tolerate it. And that's why I said, if we don't start talking to each other, we'll go the Yugoslavia way, start murdering each other.
That brings up the issue of, and I'm still going to come even to the media, your media affiliations. But politically, where are you? Because up until the time I was sitting, just arranging myself to sit before you, I would be under the impression that you had some affinity for the ruling party. But from what you said so far, it's making me think again that maybe that's not 100% correct. So I must ask directly, are you a member of the APC?
Total affinity, total support to APC. So don't say that, no. I'm saying this because, again, freedom of speech is guaranteed. I have access. We have caucus. I talk at caucus. And what I'm telling you are things that I say at caucus. The APC, in our constitution, go and Google it, which I was involved in. I was the chairman of the Constitutional Drafting Committee for the APC. I was a member of the merger committee that Outlook was head of the manifesto, and the manifesto that we presented to the whole world is that we will work for true federalism. It's part of the APC policy. So what I'm saying is I'm not going out of the APC as a party. Now, what you can say is that, how far? In fact, John Olusegun, when he was chairman, set up a committee under El-Rufai that came with a report on how to evolve a true federalism. The report came to the caucus, was adopted. You see, when we are talking, they should engage us and say, we as APC, how far? That's what I'm saying.
I see.
So it's in our constitution. I'm not going against APC. It's in the APC constitution that we will work for a true federalism. El-Rufai did a report with Aregbesola and Co as members, and that report came to the caucus. So I'm not saying anything that is not in tune with what I believe as a member of APC.
Now, if you say it was adopted by the caucus, what happened to it?
That's what I'm saying. That all those, they should engage us and say that we should move from there forward. And I have access. I do talk at every level of the party, so that's why I won't go into details of what we are doing in our party.
Now, speaking of your party, the ruling party, it would appear as if there are internal dynamics. You mentioned 2023 and what the president said on the occasion of his 77th birthday. But it seems as if people are already lining up towards that 2023, even as we are speaking in this interview. There are some forces within the party who want the national chairman, Adams Oshiomhole, gone. And some of those forces include the governors within the party. Now, there are others who say he's done nothing wrong and that all he has done is to enforce discipline within the party. But everybody says this is about 2023, which may be why it's not surprising that in spite of the fact that 2023 is almost 4 years away, even the president has had to come in and say a few things about that election coming in 2023. Now, what do you make of the dynamics of the party itself, the APC? Because only a couple of days ago, some of your, I will call them friends, who were suspended were readmitted back to the party. So definitely something is going on. As an insider, what is going on?
Many things are going on.
Yeah, but what are the things that we should know that are going on?
There are too many serious issues going on. Yeah, first of all, I will say it openly. Every political party all over the world must always have twist and turn, up and down. Look at UK. Boris Johnson came in, prorogued the parliament, sacked all the elders of the party, dealt with everybody, and was almost virtually on the verge of going down. The Conservative went into groups. Farage But for Farage, you say, I'm not contesting, but I will not contest against the conservative constituency. I would rather go and destroy the Labour this thing. That was what saved the conservative. So even the conservative that have been on for centuries are still suffering internal dynamics. So it doesn't bother me at all. But we are in trouble. All the parties. The unfortunate thing is that even the PDP itself is not giving a robust opposition as we gave them when we were not in government. Part of the problem with APC is, one, we wrote the Constitution. We have not implemented major elements in the Constitution. Example is Board of Trustee. You see, the Board of Trustee, so they turn it into legal issue. The Board of Trustee is purely to be in charge of assets of the party. But you see, I said, okay, change it to elders group. All the area we're having problem, as large as the Board of Trustee may be, we break them into committees. If you send somebody like me to go to Igboland to go and look into issues there, I'll be honest and blunt. At the age of 80, who is it I'm afraid of? I have dealt with every leader in this country. Tafawa Balewa, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Awolowo, Aminu Kanu, Joseph Taka. Up to today, there's no president I don't know face to face. So what am I going to be afraid of? We didn't implement our constitution. And what we did, some people are afraid that if you set up Board of Trustee, the incumbent president will see the whole thing like Obasanjo. We say, fine, okay, make the tenure of the chairman of Board of Trustee to be 2 years, rotational within the 6 zones. If you are started out from the 1, it will have gone around the zones by now. We didn't do it because people are looking for advice. So that's a big problem for APC. 2023 is going to be an explosive, not 2023, by next year, explosion of all kinds will start blowing up. Some landmines will start blowing up. But it's how we now manage it. Definitely, we have problems. And we are still going to have more as we approach 2023. By the time we get to 2021, be sure, nobody will look at government. Everybody will be looking at the politics of 2023. So I agree. We have major landmines before us in APC. Now, you talk about Adams Oshomole. Of course, again, the constitution is clear. We elected, the convention is the only one that can remove him. I may not like his style. I may not like his approach. Didn't we know that he was a labor activist before we elected him? Well, we have to find a way. How do you manage him? Adams cannot change Adams overnight. He cannot be Osoba. So, another mistake we made. When we were drafting the Constitution, nowhere in the Constitution did we say governors are the leaders of the party. Of course, governors, by virtue of being chief executive
of the states,
conventionally the governors should know their leader. But they now want to say we must control everything. In a democracy, all those who were in control up to last year and playing God, have they not left office? Can they not play God? Are they not now ex-governor? So the second mistake was to say governor is not in the Constitution. The governor wanted to corner everything. But by virtue of being chief executive, you are automatically leader. But you don't have to now say, I must dictate everything. That's another major mistake. We deliberately didn't put that in the Constitution. And when we go for caucus meeting, the president sits down there. Everybody knows that the president is the president of Nigeria. He leaves the control of the meeting in the hands of the party. President Buhari has never decided at any time to say this, that. He will keep quiet. And the following day, he will take a personal position. And if the national executive agree with him, they go ahead. If not, I don't understand. The problem is that we shout democracy. We say we are the leaders. We believe in fundamental right. When it comes to practice and execution, we are the one who are greater dictators ourselves.
Chief, because of our time, let me ask you this, and because it's been something that the truth never actually came out. And now that I have you in the seat before me, it's an opportunity to put out the light. To put on the light. You alluded to your second return to office, which ended in 2003, during the April 2003 elections. It wasn't just you. At that time, you were all governors of the AD, as it was then known. It was what metamorphosed into ACN and then, of course, became one of the 5 legacy parties that became APC. Yourself, the late Babade Farati in Ondo, the former APC chairman, Adebisi Akonde, Bola Tinubu in Lagos, and Lam Adesina, and then, of course, Otunbani Adebayo in Ekiti, were said to have reached a deal with the then president, Olusegun Osoba, that you would support his re-election and he, in turn, would support yours. The story is that the only person who refused to agree was the then Lagos State Governor, Bola Tinubu, and that was why he was the only one that was left standing at the end of that election. Since then, other stories have emerged that the then president backstabbed these other governors. Is that true? What actually happened?
The first person that organized the first meeting with Obasanjo was Bola Tinubu. And that meeting was held in Dodon Barracks in the old office of the old head of state. Obasanjo came for convocation at University of Lagos. But at that time, there was agitation. So he insisted on Bola coming with him, because Bola was popular, and Bola used his image and clout to give him cover, not to have him seriously attacked. And from there, they then phoned that we should meet him at Dodon Barracks. There he requested for cooperation. We told him he has to engage our leaders. Then Adesanya was the Yoruba leader. He did. I will cut the long story short. The final meeting was held in Ota. And Papa Adesanya convened a meeting in Lagos of the affiliation leadership. And then they drafted minimum conditions to agree to support Obasanjo's second term. Before then, Gani Naaba had attempted to impeach. But those of us who had gone through the same process June 12, and when NRC governor and SDP governor were divided, military people used their influence to divide us, and that gave them the opportunity to now send all of us out. I appeal to the other governor that if we allow Naaba to truncate, to go and impeach Obasanjo, and the resultant effect may be another military incursion. So I was asked to lead some governors to go and appeal to Naaba. Our leader said we should not let the impeachment take place so that democracy that they fought for, all of us, all these people don't know what we went through in Southwest here. We should not let it just be truncated. Perhaps that influence, even listening to Obasanjo, it was Colin Adebayo is alive. I wanted to go and interview him. That was mandated at the meeting they held in Apa. I was not present. None of the governors was present. But then they then sent for me to join them for Abeokuta. I can't remember whether I conveyed to Lam to join them in Ota. What they agreed to was read out. It was Okuromu and Colin Adebayo who spoke on behalf of AD. At the end of the meeting, I had arranged late dinner at Gateway Hotel in Ota to now review our meeting with Obasanjo. Contrary to what some people are saying, that he told us to go and lobby, it's not true. He wanted our support. We then gave him, by the time Obasanjo started speaking, he promised, he said, census, we should forget it. He would do correct census for Nigeria. That he already commissioned the satellite count of every house property in Nigeria. And that with the property, you can even just sit down. A hut cannot take more than 3-4 people. Give it maximum occupation. He said he will get the census even sitting in the villa. He said the issue of federal character, he will kill it. How? He said he will privatize. And when all those companies are privatized, they will look for the best. And all our people who have gone to diaspora, best brain will be brought back. And so that private sector will not ask for federal character. If anybody wants to remain in civil service, when he finishes privatizing everything, merit will become. He spoke so eloquently, to the shock of everybody. And Adebanjo keeps saying I misinterpreted it. When we got there, I said, Adebanjo said, this Obasanjo don't look like a change man. He said, we should just, when it gets to the second term, the real Obasanjo will come out, evolve policies that will be all embracing and change the country by the policies that will change the country. Now, they say, I brought Obasanjo. Okay, I agree. Okay, if I never, I don't think I entered Obasanjo's office more than once. His perfect residence, I don't think I was there more than once throughout his 4 years when I was governor. I never lobbied him for environmental allocation. That one is within the executive power. I didn't get a kobo. He came to Ogun State and said, I'm one governor who has not made any request. Because I keep telling him, look, you are from Ogun State. Whatever you think you should do for Ogun State, do it. I do tell him the truth, which he doesn't listen to. I said, you are doing Abeokuta Ota. It's of no use if you don't do Ota to Lagos. And that it's of no use if you don't do, you could do type of road where you have the service lane to the left and right, and then you have the driveway in the middle. Today, the Ota. So it was the Afenifere leadership that wrote the demand, that presented the demand. How then do I come in? Okay, I've always argued that. I also argued that, agreed, I brought Obasanjo. Let's even take it for academic discussion. Now, okay, I presented Obasanjo. So all our leaders, with years of high political experience, became so daft, which they are not, and they just took my suggestion without even any consideration. Secondly, I have challenged them. Let anyone come out amongst our leaders and my colleagues that I ever engage on a private one-on-one discussion to let us support us. Because I know about the more than all of them.
I cannot end this interview without talking about your media role. But I want to ask about your assessment of where we have gone. You are quoted as having said that the hate speech bill, which is currently before the National Assembly, people should speak up against it because it contains danger. Where do you think our media, when I speak about our media, I'm not talking only of traditional media now. I'm talking of media across board. Have we progressed from those days where you were a young cub reporter, giving free hand almost to do as you pleased, to today? You've made reference to the Sketch, the Herald, the Daily Times, and so on. These were giants of the time, especially print journalism. And you've remained very active. You are in the Guild of Editors. You are in the other bodies set up for the regulation and check of standards in the media. How have we done so far?
I must tell you that I'm proud of the performance of media in Nigeria. We can stand the test of any standard anywhere in the world. The media has fought. We didn't get to where we are by chance. Nigerian media organizations have fought to win the moderate freedom to practice our profession. It didn't come by chance. The current situation is this. We've written editorials, we've written articles attacking the hate speech. In a democracy, we should now come together, publishers, editors, and not only even individual, the pro-democracy activists should now write and request to appear before the Senate committee when it's constituted. Because after the second reading, it goes to committee. We should go and meet the committee and explain our positions. We shouldn't just sit down and start lambasting and insulting and abusing. This is what I hate. I'm on so many forums. Once we say, let us think this way, they will burst with attack. We should learn, maybe because I'm a journalist, the other view. I mean, you come to interview me. You don't agree with 90% of what I'm telling you, but you go ahead and still air it. That's the journalist in you. Even though it's not, your stomach must be rumbling. You have your own opinion, but you bury it. So we in the media now should move to the National Assembly, encourage others, because freedom of expression is not synonymous with the media. It's for all Nigerians. I condemn the social media practitioners who are not journalists. I have been a victim of many fake news. There was a time I went to give evidence to write a report as a director of a company. The other reporter said, I've been locked up, I've been accused of getting government contracts and making millions of naira. Nothing of the sort. One of our media giants have been accused of being a ritualist. So every day you get fake news, but we must condemn it. And I've said, I'm happy. Channel is one of the televisions that went internet, and you can watch, which you should do further and remain solid there. So if all these useless stations don't give credible news, people will go with channel and watch channel, because you give credible news, you are fair-minded, you are balanced, and you are professional. I keep saying it. I tell John Mom whenever I say, well, I'm happy for you. You are running a highly professional station that I'm proud of. That is the answer to tackle the social media, these bloggers who are not journalists, who want to go and destroy our names.
Chief Osoba, thank you so much for your time.
I can tell you that I had the head. Truly.
We are very grateful, sir. We're very grateful.
I'm proud.
Thank you very much, sir.
You were able to even with all my God.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you. It's our pleasure. That's Newsnight. Do let's hear from you on what you've heard today and much more. The handles are right there on your screen. I'm Ladi Akeredoluale. Thanks for being with us, and goodbye.